Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Food School Smarter, Stronger, Leaner podcast on a mission to inspire a world where food makes us better. Guys, today before letting you go for a healthy and fit weekend ahead, I'd like to finish our French episodes, our French series with the remaining rules, or let's say traditions and habits of healthy eating that are ingrained in traditional French way of eating. And these principles, they will bring together the whole system. We already talked about variety, why important that is, why it's important to eat weird foods and introduce new foods into our diet. We talked about why it's important to eat real foods and what those are. We also talked this week about snacking and how dangerous snacking can be for our health, not just for our waistlines, even though they are correlated or related to each other. So the next principle of traditional French eating is order of food courses or meal courses. So it's not just enough to eat real foods and, eat vegetables and eat all these variety of foods. It's also important when we eat to have order in which we eat foods. Now, French, for example, always start with something like soup or vegetable appetizer, or maybe appetizer with some weird foods, but usually there is some soup, and usually that soup would have a lot of vegetables, maybe pureed or just, made with water, cooked with water. So soup goes first. Then they have the main dish that usually features, again, a lot of different vegetables, seasonal and preferably local, but different every day. So a lot of vegetables cooked in different ways, a lot of calories. Plus, of course, the main protein source. Sometimes it's fish, sometimes it's shellfish, organ meats, chicken, another poultry, beef, or maybe a lamb, so duck. So that is the main. Again, a lot of vegetables with some protein. Then the course after that is actually salad with fresh greens, usually, and other ingredients, with a few pieces of cheese. By the way, guys, I hope you aren't forgetting that cheese is one of the richest sources of calcium. So about 40 grams of hard cheeses is about 50-60% of our daily need for calcium. There is no other calcium source besides sardines with bones that has that much calcium per 40 grams. Well, actually, sardines are not that rich. If you eat a can, then you're going to get 50-60 grams. Anyhow, guys, so a salad with cheese, and then if you want, there is dessert, and usually fruit is offered first, like a dessert. And if you want something sweeter, then there is dessert. And so the first, again, soup, then a lot of vegetables with main protein source, then salad and cheese. And you can imagine by that time you finish all of that eating slowly. We're going to talk about that aspect of French eating too. By the time you finish all of that, can you imagine yourself eating a whole bag of cookies or, a lot of dessert? Probably not. Even if you do decide to try the dessert offered, you probably eat just a tiny bit. And that's why it seems like French eat small portions, but for some reason, nobody's talking about that they have a few courses all the time. Even just regular daily lunch and dinner would have those 4 courses. So your soup or something like that with a lot of vegetables, then your main with a lot of vegetables and protein, then your salad and cheese, and then the 4th course is dessert. And by the time you get to that, eating slowly, you are already kind of full. And that's been my concept that I myself a fan of, and I'm practicing it every single meal, and I always advise it to my clients. First, if you do want to cut out all the sugar, all the snacky items or not so healthy food, don't tell yourself not to eat them. No, you can tell yourself, I can have anything, and I always tell myself that too. I can have anything, but before that, I need to have a full-sized meal. A lot of vegetables, protein, and not just a little bit, but 400, 500 grams of vegetables at least. Usually I actually start with fruit. I wait a little bit and I eat like a pound or more fruit. Then I wait like half an hour, and then I eat my vegetables with a lot of protein. And by the time I'm finished, I cannot imagine putting into myself anything else. I'm just so full. And French do the same. They eat a lot of healthy food first, and then if they feel like it, they eat the dessert. But usually, even if you do feel like that after such a big meal, you're not gonna eat a lot. So eat your healthy food first. That's the main principle. And guys, for example, studies from Israel, recent studies from Israel that been done maybe like a year or a couple of years ago, those studies have shown then also when we eat first our vegetables and our protein, and then maybe carbohydrate-rich foods like potatoes or rice or pasta and maybe dessert. So if we start with a lot of vegetables, with a lot of protein, our blood sugar response will be much lower, and also it's just not gonna spike all that much at all. That is amazing for our longevity and our metabolism, our metabolic health, and the health of our arteries and our cardiovascular system. Even studies show that order matters compared to, for example, if you eat your dessert first and your maybe rice and pasta first, and then you follow it by vegetables. So the order matters. But there is another thing, guys, because it takes time for our body and our brain to get the signal that we are getting nutrition, because it also, digestion takes time. Vegetables, protein, all of that takes time to digest it, to absorb the nutrients. So the order and eating slowly allows our body to get the signal that we are getting the nutrition we need, and that we are getting all the essential vitamins and minerals and proteins and fats. And so by the time we get to the dessert, we're not that hungry for that reason also, because we already got all these nutrients. So our brain doesn't really need anything. And it is going to be much easier for you to eat less of desserts or other snacky things. You wouldn't have to restrict yourself all that much. You're just going to be no longer that hungry. As simple as that, guys. So that's why order is important. But also what's important to eat slowly. If you have this big meal and you manage to just inhale it in like 5 minutes, your brain wouldn't have the time to get the proper signal from your gut that you are getting sufficient nutrition. Plus, you're gonna feel heavy and probably will have digestive problems, and probably your food will not be digested well at all, and you're probably gonna have gas or bloating. Like, eating fast is not good for our digestion, for our eating habits, or for our mental and emotional health, and our body weight too. So eating slowly, it's also another principle of French eating, enjoying it, eating slowly. And also really important to share your meals as much as possible with people you love. That's also a huge principle or rule of French way of eating. For a French person, it's unusual to eat by themselves or with TV or emails or something like that. For them not to share your meal with your friend or a member of your family, it's very unusual, and it's considered to be really weird. So eating slowly, enjoying the conversation, sharing your meals with people you love, it allows you to relax, to slow down, to digest your food properly. It just that's a whole better environment for our digestion and absorption of nutrients, and also for how much we eat. because the slower we eat, again, the less we're gonna eat, because our brain and our gut and our whole body will get the signals about the nutrition that we are getting, and we're not going to be hungry for much of anything else. So eating slowly is also important, just like the order is important, because again, if you eat too fast and you don't pay attention to what you're eating, you are going to be overeating more often, and you're not going to be feeling satisfied and nourished with your food. So eating order, eating slowly, it is important. I take an hour of actual eating time without the cooking and cleanup that usually takes about 30 minutes total. So hour and a half is what I take for my main meals. And I usually have just one main meal, and I might have, usually would have some fruit before that. And I might have yogurt or something like that at night, but it's not going to take me an hour and a half. But main meal is hour and a half. So I take my time. And again, I'm so satisfied and full after my meals that I just don't feel like I need or want anything. I'm just so full and nourished. And you're going to notice the same when you start practicing the order of eating a lot of vegetables and protein first. And when you start practicing eating slowly, so time yourself, take at least 30 minutes per meal to actually eat it. Not like the whole thing, maybe with cooking or ordering, but 30 minutes just for eating. And also maybe bring a friend or a family member to your meals. I sometimes do online family dinners, because my parents, for example, and my friends, a lot of them are either in other parts of the world. My parents are in Russia. And so what we do is we have meals over WhatsApp video calls. And, in our environment, that's probably the best we can do. Have those lunches and dinners via Zoom or something. Yeah, lockdown or not, that's the reality. Or, you might also have your parents or friends somewhere else in the world. So eating slowly, eating order matters. And the last, but definitely not least, guys, is focus on vegetables. Vegetables, why are they so amazing? They have a lot of good things going for them. They are the richest per bite, per calorie, richest in nutrients food group, but lowest in calories. So if you take something like Brussels sprouts, or spinach, or kale, or Swiss chard, those have very tiny amount of calories, but they do have a lot of water. They do have a lot of volume. A lot of those vegetables have a lot of fiber. They take time to digest. They have a lot of vitamins and minerals, but again, they have very few calories. So they occupy a lot of space in our stomach. They give us a lot of vitamins and minerals. They slow down the digestion. They improve our metabolism, meaning keeping our blood sugar balanced and keeping us full and satiated for longer. So all these things vegetables do. And from all the evidence we have, from all the statistics, the more vegetables people eat, the healthier they seem to be. And to give you an idea, for my main meal, I usually eat 700, 800 grams of vegetables total, like onions including, and some mushrooms and all the other vegetables. And then on top of that, every day I eat about 500, 600 grams of fruit. So you can imagine that's my limit or allowance of vegetables. But for most people, unless you have digestive problems and your stomach, your digestive system aren't working properly, usually the more vegetables, the better. Of course, don't stuff yourself, but when it comes to seconds and thirds, go for vegetables. But yeah, guys, French people are crazy about their vegetables. They try to introduce as many vegetables as possible to kids' diets. They try to eat something new themselves every single time they see it. They eat a lot of different vegetables on a regular basis. So they eat different vegetables almost every day, changing with seasons. But also they usually don't eat, as we talked about, the same thing twice a week. So vegetables keep you full, give you a lot of vitamins and minerals, give you a lot of water, a lot of fiber with the minimum amount of calories. They keep you really full, satiated and healthy and fit and strong and vital. That's why vegetables are important, and cultures that eat a lot of vegetables tend to be the healthiest kind of cultures. And don't forget that eat your veggies first along with your protein, and only then eat the rest of the less nutritious stuff. But maybe, some joy. Also French are, by the way, great on balanced eating. But for them, balanced eating means, eat your main meals healthy all the time. But then on top of that, you can have your dessert once in a while. You can have even junk food once in a while. But once in a while means maybe like once in 2 weeks. The rest is dedicated to all these good foods. And yeah, dessert comes often, but in tiny pieces, because again, you can imagine, you eat 4 courses every meal. How hungry really do you think you're gonna be for desserts? It's just our stomach has a limit, even as simple as that. So to bring it all together, guys, rules or habits of traditional way of eating in France that keep those French beautiful, even though they do eat a lot of different foods and high calorie foods. So the French unspoken rules of French eating. Number 1, variety, guys. So variety in all food groups to maximize nutrition and health in those foods. Number 2, weird foods. Those weird foods like duck liver pate, for example, usually are super rich in some nutrients. So great addition to your variety. Number 3, real foods, guys. Focus is always on real foods, foods that you use to cook your meals with, foods that don't come in packages, that don't require ingredient lists. Number 4, no snacking. Snacking spoils our appetites. It brings a lot of things like added sugars into our diet that does not do any good to our health or waistlines. So no snacking for French. Snacking is for kids and 1 snack only in France. Number 5, order is important. So don't forget to eat a lot of vegetables, a lot of protein first, maybe followed by salad and cheese, and only then, if you have still desire and space in your stomach, eat some dessert. Number 6, vegetables first. Focus on vegetables, as much vegetable as you can, because again, high in nutrients, high in volume, high in water, high in fiber, but really low in calories. And then the last but not least, number 7, slowing down and eating together and enjoying your food, our food, is just as important as nutrient content of our vegetables. So here you go, guys. Unspoken rules of traditional French way of eating that keeps French and us, when we use these rules, lean, healthy, fit, enjoying our food, and people that come to us or enjoy our food with us. So all of this rules of eating brings to us in our lives when we start practicing them. So if you have any questions about any rules that you heard this week about French way of eating, feel free to reach out to Angela at Create Yourself That Today, or on my Instagram, on my Twitter, on my Facebook. Maybe find a French friend and start practicing, learning from them, their way of eating, and practicing it together. That's going to be a lot of fun, and you'll probably remember those rules and start practicing them for life much faster if you work through them with your French friend who still practices those rules. Because as we also talked about it, our modern generation, a lot of time, it does not eat like traditional people in that culture used to eat. So find a French friend, maybe go to a French restaurant and see what they have there. Have an awesome weekend, by the way, guys. Keep it healthy, keep it fit, eat a lot of healthy food, try new foods, try weird foods, eat a lot of vegetables. If you wish to have dessert, have it after your delicious, healthy meal, satisfying meal. And As usual, guys, till next time, eat better daily.